Imposter syndrome in autistic people is really common, and I think there are some external and internal reasons for this, and I just wanted to discuss this today. One of the main reasons that I believe imposter syndrome happens such a high rate in late diagnosed autistic people is actually the people around the individual once they are diagnosed, because if someone is late diagnosed autistic, it usually means that they have been masking for a significant time in their lives. It could be for many years before they are actually diagnosed, and for those around them, the majority of those individuals may have only seen that person when they have been masking, and masking is hiding the main traits of your autistic personality in order to fit in with the people around you or to society's demands. And unfortunately, unmasking can be a whole process within itself personally, but if the individual decides to start trying to unmask in order to help with burnout and just in general the exhaustion that comes with masking, this can feel almost alien to the people around them, and that's why often you will have people say things that sound a lot like, why is this person acting more autistic since they got their diagnosis? And it won't be that the individual is acting more autistic, it will be that the individual themselves is acting themselves. However, the people around them have not been used to seeing that, and it can feel unusual. And a lot of the time, people may decide to make comments about this to that person, which can then cause a kind of crisis in that person's mind. This leads on to my next point, and people who've been late diagnosed autistic often have experienced issues, problems, setbacks in their life relating to their autism that they did not know was being caused by autism. So they may have struggled in school, work, different areas in their life, mental health, friendships, communication. And for all of this, for all of the downfalls that they perceive to have had, they will have often blamed themselves, and this will have come with a lot of guilt and shame and believing that they were unable to just be as good or as productive as the people around them. And because of this, once you get that diagnosis and you need to realise that actually all of the things that you've struggled with for a reason. It can be hard to accept that when you have been so hard on yourself for such a long time. So you often grapple in your mind with maybe I'm not really autistic, maybe I am just stupid or slow, or maybe I somehow tricked the assessor in my assessment, or maybe they got it wrong, because you've spent so long being so hard on yourself and maybe have had other people telling you that you are not good enough, you are strange, incapable, that in accepting that actually there was a reason, and also accepting the fact that you didn't get help when you could have got help, which can often bring up a lot of anger. It takes time to accept this, and in that time when you were trying to reprogram your brain, you can get the imposter syndrome feeling of this isn't me, because I would have known if it was me. And imposter syndrome often tends to be a reason why a lot of autistic people don't get diagnosed until later on in life, because the last reason I want to talk about is how autism is portrayed in the media, and how I believe that this and how it was researched has a lot to do with the imposter syndrome of it all. Unfortunately, as we already know, autistic research was based on male boys and their symptoms and how it shows up in those people, and that is why we are getting a lot of later diagnosed autistic people that do not fit into those traits, because now we've realised that it presents differently in different people, especially gender-based symptoms, because women tend to mask a lot more. I've already talked about this quite a bit. However, I think that because of this, a lot of people who may feel that they may have autism, or that there's definitely something wrong with them, or they don't fit in, or they don't feel like everybody else feels, will consider autism, but then they will often tell themselves, I cannot be autistic because XYZ. And I often talk about my own perception of autism and how I believed growing up autistic people didn't feel or didn't have empathy or emotion, because of the portrayal that I'd seen in a lot of TV and media, and because I have an extreme empathy for things and people and events, and because it's had such an impact on my life and how deeply I do feel it, almost to a problematic point, I believe that I couldn't be autistic. I also believe I couldn't be autistic because I did speak to people, or because I had spoke from an early age, and there's so many reasons why I personally thought that I could not be autistic, and it's the imposter of it all. Of course I can't be because I can do XYZ. That completely takes away the masking of it all. So I think imposter syndrome is a massive problem within the autistic community in general, but especially within the late diagnosed. And I just thought this was an interesting thing to talk about. If you are watching this and you were late diagnosed, or even if you've always known or was diagnosed early, do you struggle with imposter syndrome, and what areas of your life do you struggle with it most? Please leave some comments down below. I am trying to be a lot more consistent with my uploads and thinking a lot less about needing to edit myself and make everything perfect. And I have been enjoying filming again. I would love if you could like, subscribe and comment. It would really help. And that is everything for now. Thank you for watching. Bye.